Okay, welcome to episode or video number 18, which I think we're up to. Sorry for the delay in another video, but I have been doing a little bit here and there. Still going very slowly with the build, but that's all right. We're in no rush. So, where are we up to? The engine and cockpit are now pretty much together as one unit. So we can see them here. I've done a little bit of weathering on the support struts here. And I've also gone over, if you recall, I'd painted the exhausts here a single grey colour, but what I've done is I've gone over with a bit of Tamiya XF9 hull red to give them a little bit of rusting. So the way that I did that was I didn't really paint it on wet so much as get the brush and put it into the paint and then brush most of it off on some paper towel, just so there was some dry pigment left on the brush, and then lightly brushed it over, just so that it didn't overpaint too much the underlying grey. So that's pretty much that section done, the cockpit and the engine. So that concludes section number 3 up to here. So the next part that we need to do is, so I've put those on. The next part is the guns there at the top. So they come in three parts. They have this part here, which actually glues into the front of the cockpit. This part, and then the actual barrel of the cannon itself. So there are two of those. So I've already glued those together, and they will go in here and here, if you can see that. So once they're in, that's where they're going to sit, and they poke out through the front of the plane, and they actually fire through the propellers. They're timed so that the shells fire through the gaps of the propeller as it spins around. So they're ready. I'll probably paint those up before I glue them in. Let's just move these out of the way for now. The cannons themselves, let's see if we can find a bit of information about them in our trusty guides. There we go. So they're MG131 machine guns, 13mm, as opposed to the 20mm or indeed 30mm central cannon that goes through the engine block. So if I just move a couple of these things out of the way, I'll show you what it is. Now this is just showing you an illustration from this book, the Messerschmitt 109 Warbird History by D.A. Land. And here we have a Bf109G 14. So this is the cannon here, and referred to here the 13mm Rheinmetall Borsig MG131 machine gun. So let's have a look and see if we can find some more illustrations of that machine gun. We'll have a look in the owner's workshop manual. Let's have a look. Yeah, I could have had a look around these first before I started recording, but oh well. So, well, this is a good view just to show you. See, they poke out their cockpit and then they shoot through the propellers. Anyway, so there they are. Now, unlike the central cannon, the 109 was pretty nifty in that it had an ammunition counter in the cockpit, and that's demonstrated here in the cockpit decal, which is there. So that was the ammunition counter, and so as you fired the gun, it would go down, and you'd have an idea about how much ammunition you had. Now, there wasn't an ammunition counter for the central cannon, which goes through the engine block, which is now mostly covered up and locked out. So, you know, all the painting that I did of that cannon now can only really be seen through there. You can just see the cannon. But anyway, you and I both know that it was painted, even if we never ever see it again. So that's the cannons, the MG131s. What else have I done? I've done a little bit of the internal fuselage instrument. So you'll remember this one from a previous video. I've now glued this in. This is the various oxygen components. That dials there, which show the oxygen flow, what have you. We have the circuit breaker electrics panel here. The white I've painted is just little information panels. I don't know exactly what that part is that I've glued in there. So I'm going to have to go back through my books and see if I can figure out what's going on there. So that's in. And what I haven't actually taken out this half of the fuselage yet. And I've just glued in a couple of things. Now this is the, I think that's the trim, the trim dial on there for the pitch up and down. That needs to be painted there. This here is a rail that's glued on. Now this is for the, I believe it's for the emergency release of the canopy when ejecting, for example. So that one is, I believe, reasonably well illustrated here. So you can see here, that's the, oops, that's this part here. As you can tell, it's 11 o'clock in the morning. Don't worry, the other clock will go in a minute. Yes, so you can see that there. If we go and we get the cockpit view, which hopefully is it this way? There we go. So here you can see here it's labeled. There's a little red button there. 16 is the canopy release lever. So that's where you pull that lever and it will just pop the canopy off in emergency. The other thing that I've put together, and I'll show you briefly, is, but I haven't painted it up yet, is the throttle control and the propeller pitch control unit here, which is perhaps best illustrated in a different picture. There's the canopy release lever again. The throttle control is, let's have a look. Flicking through. Here we go. So the instructions on starting up. Okay, the other clock's going to go now. You can see it's got this yellow here and red lever there for the fuel cocks. Okay, so that's the fuel cocks, and then yeah, so this one here is the throttle. Now that part is here. There we are. So I've sort of started to glue that together. That goes in, and then we've got Yeah, so that would probably be the throttle and then the prop pitch or the fuel cox one there. So that's got to be painted up. Oh yeah, and one other bit that I've done is this piece of piping here. Now this, where does this bit go? This bit goes onto the right hand side of the cockpit, and it will sit in pretty much there. Now I painted that yellow with some sort of gunmetal joins, what have you. Now that part actually can be seen. I used as reference from the first book that I was showing you. This one here. It's not really well demonstrated in the other book, but this one, you can see it here. So we have this yellow piping coming up there and then running along here, and you can see it's actually got various connectors and joiners and other bits there which are grey in colour, and then we have the yellow there. And as they say in this book, this particular example of a 109G meticulously restored and by the Evergreen Aviation Educational Centre. There you go. So that's where I'm up to, which is putting those on. And I'm also working on this other side on 6, so I've put those on. That's that yellow pipe there, E39 there. This has been assembled, stuck on. This has just been glued together, yet to be stuck on. That one, and that one are ready to go. So, I've also just started working on the undercarriage. So I've put together the first wheel hub there, which this model kit has rubber tires, which is pretty neat. So once I've painted this, then the rubber tires will go on as well. Yeah, which they say are flat black, but the rubber is actually flat black, and I'll show you that when I get to it, to do the undercarriage proper. So I've put that together as well. Alright, that's all for this episode, to give you an update as to where I'm at with the model. I'll try and do maybe something with a bit more action in it next time, with some painting or what have you. But yeah, until then, thank you for watching.